All right, so we have singers Timothy and Maren. Are you here? Timothy and Maren.
I just want to say thank you so much for being here today. And our leaders today will be Dr. Olga Flora and Dr. Kristin Ditlow. And we also have with us Dr. Michael Hicks and Dr. David Edmonds from the University of New Mexico. We're just so pleased to be with you today.
Thank you so much, Professor Swallen. And so, Timothy, we have you on the list first. Do you want to unmute and tell us what you're singing and get started? Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, great. I'm going to move into my studio. My name is Timothy Kelly. I'm from South Carolina, in case you can't tell because of my accent. And I'm going to be singing O Isis und Osiris from the opera Die Zauberflöte by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart.
Bravo, beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really beautiful. Dr. Hicks is going to talk to you for just a moment. Take it away, Dr. Hicks.
Okay, great.
I just wanted to say one brief thing just about the German. I mean, your tone is really beautiful and even from top to bottom. The lower end is just so resonant, well produced. Bravo to you and your teacher. Fantastic work. The one thing I wanted to suggest is just really making sure that your phrasing, that you review your phrasing. German is difficult in that oftentimes the verb is at the final position of the sentence. So make
Correct.
sure that you lead the phrase all the way to the end where the verb is. That is key. And for everyone, regardless of what language you sing, this is an important reason to understand the literal translation of what you're singing. I mean, word by word, rather than a translation that's written under the score, a poetic translation, etc. Really knowing where the verb is, because you want to lead to that verb. So it's not every case that we have the verb at the end. Sometimes we have the separable prefix verb. Sometimes the verbs, but it's often in the last position. So really reviewing those phrases and making sure your breath management works in such a way that you lead us to that verb. So that's all
Thank you.
I say. I want to turn it over to my colleagues, but bravo, beautiful singing.
Thank you.
That was so beautiful. And I wanted to tell you, Timothy, that you're in good company here. Dr. Hicks is from Alabama and I'm from New Orleans. So
Oh, I'm in great company.
you've got all the Southerners with you today, and we are with you. That was so beautiful. I couldn't agree with Dr. Hicks more. And to that end, why don't we just do a little bit, I want to start at, I apologize for my terrible piano, but la si de prüfung, right there. And so what I want to do is I want you to think of that beautiful breath management that Dr. Hicks was just talking about. Can you think of your rib cage as just it's opening, but it doesn't fill up, it doesn't tank up. You're not going to take it all the way to the edge. You're just going to allow the breath to come into your body. Just feel that breath. And in this case, we're going to do it in the shape of an ah, right? So we're going to go la for me in my octave, la si de bre, and you're just going to feel that nice opening in your rib cage. I'm going to stand with you.
Okay.
And everybody on the call can do this. Let's just stand up. Put your hands on your rib cage the way we do as singers. But what I find as singers is that sometimes we crunch our neck or we pull everything up when we do that. So making sure that the back of your neck is tall and long, and just gently turn your head side to side. That's beautiful. Yeah, exactly. Feeling that flow with the muscles. And now just breathe it on that ah. La si de prune. Take it all the way to the end of Zayn. Ready, and.
Laat sie der Prüfung Früchte sehen.
That's good. Now, what I want to want is the onset. So Dr. Hicks was saying go all the way to the end for the verb zayin, which is great. Now, can you breathe silently in the shape of the ah and let your body feel like the breath and the body come together so that the resonance happens right on that very first ah. La. Let's do that 3 times. Why don't you just take a breath and do that onset 3 times? Just go la, la. Good. Do it again.
La.
Good. Can you breathe with your mouth and your nose open, both?
La.
I love that. So I know you're taking a little bit of a sniff, which I kind of love a sniff breath sometimes for myself, especially when I'm doing long coloratura, but I have to make sure that my mouth is also open so that the onset isn't late. So try it with your mouth and your nose open, and this time go all the way to the end of that phrase.
Laat sie der Prüfung Früchte sehen.
Good. How's that feel?
That feels better.
Good. I think that sounds really nice. And then I think it was on the next line that maybe you were just struggling a little bit with the breath. Was it the next one? Help me out here, colleagues. Do sollen. Was it right there? Let's try that. So breathe on the shape of the O and do that next line.
Okay.
Pause, Timothy. Pause for a second. So here's what I see. And I don't think you need any of that. I think it's just open your body, keep your neck released, keep your shoulder released, and breathe on the shape of that O. Keep that little sniff. I love it, but open the O and let it feel really silent.
Okay. Doch sollten sie zu Grabe gehen.
I like that. I think that's beautiful. All right, I'm going to hand off to one of my colleagues. Beautiful singing.
Thank you.
Dr. Ditlow, Professor Swallen.
Beautiful job, Tim.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What I would also, to add to what Doctors Hicks and Flora said, what I would also suggest is energize. German consonants can be so inconvenient to sing, and I mean no disrespect, of course, to the wonderful German language and to all the wonderful libretti and the poetry that we sing in that language, but sometimes it's sort of we get the air ready and then the air has to stop. It's like going through airport security and then you have to wait.
Correct.
So it's and again, I adore the language. I adore playing the repertoire in it and coaching it and all of those things. So I think what we have to do is sort of trick ourselves about how some of the consonant clusters that we have to sing. So what I'd love for you to do is go back to the beginning. So o is undo sires shank. Right, the first verb is schenken, isn't? I'm not looking at the score.
Schenken.
It is schenken. I am remembering this correctly. And just so highlight for us, just speak for that as if you're Zarastro the orator, which he kind of is, instead of Zarastro the singer, and say, okay, let's identify as a class the 2 or 3 most inconvenient sounds to sing through in that phrase. So just speak.
O Isis und Osiris, Schenket der Weisheit Geist. Geist is difficult.
Okay. But also Weisheit is one word, correct?
Yes,
Wisdom.
Weisheit.
Right. So
Kind
one of
hard
the
to
things
get
I
those.
observed also as well is that you have to make, not only do we want to not interrupt the line in terms of putting the verb at the end, like Dr. Hicks mentioned earlier, but also you want to make sure that you know which words are a word unit.
Exactly.
Sometimes in German we have something called compound nouns and compound words. That happens a lot in the language. So something like Weisheit, Schenket, those are one word. So don't break them up. Sometimes Mozart will break them up by a printed line of music or a printed measure. This depends on the edition you're looking at. But make sure that your o Isis und Osiris schenket. Every sound goes to the next sound.
Exactly.
So back to the silly analogy that I made through you're a global entry passenger, right through security. You don't have to take your shoes off, no computer out of the bag, just right through. Can you try that again, more or less in rhythm this time, but go through the ends of every word ending you're going to go through it.
And speak it?
Just speak it in rhythm now, and don't chop words in the middle.
Okay. O Isis und Osiris schenket dir Weisheit Geist.
Yes, that's much better already. I could hear a sense of the rhyming sounds, which are is important in all of these Singspielen. These things where the German and Austrian audiences would have actually been really listening for how Mr. Schikaneder, in this case, how skillfully he had rhymed these words, and it's really important. And I also felt like the text was improved and tightened. We could hear it more and understand it more, and I thought you managed your air better. So it was like putting a nice bow around what all my colleagues are asking. I got a little love note privately that saying I have not much time left. So would you mind please let's go back to the beginning and just sing that one phrase, but keeping that in mind again.
Sure.
Just go through. Yeah. Oh, there's your C natural if you need it.
Thank you.
Sure.
O Isis und Osiris schenket der Weisheit Geist.
Yep, that was better. I felt that was better in every way. Thanks for being such a great student.
Oh, thank you so much for your help.
And for singing for us today. It was great.
Oh, I love it.
Fantastic job, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Good job. Congratulations, Tim.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Maren. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes, you did.
Okay, perfect. So go on, take the stage.
Okay, cool. Well, hi everybody. My name is Marin. I just finished my junior year of college, so I guess I'm a rising senior, which is kind of freaky. So today I'm going to sing an excerpt from Piangero la sorte mia from Giulio Cesare by Handel.
Great job. Great, Marin. Fantastic. Is it Marin or Marin?
It's Marin.
Marin. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Fantastic job. Your voice is really, really wonderful. Your ornaments, as I found out from a little bird named Dr. Flora, told me that you wrote all of them yourself. So that's really, really, really exciting. You're incredibly musical. And I really loved there were some ornaments that I've actually never heard in this piece. And this is certainly Handel, top 5 greatest hits.
Right, yeah.
And thank you for obliging and doing just a short section of this piece. It is just quite lengthy for a relatively short masterclass. I actually like that that kind of shows us all we need to know from the aria. Maybe I'll start asking more people to do it this way. First, okay, so I want to address two things. One is Italian, which I'll go through quickly on first. And then the second thing is I want to address ornamentation just a little bit. Watch that in a word like, so I'm following along with my all marked up Baron writer with the cover falling off. Watch please that single intervocalic R's are only flipped, right? So in a word like tiranno, you want a single intervocalic R that's flipped, we don't roll that R. And then also the N is doubled in that word. So il tiranno, and then so I wanted generally, because the B section in this aria is riddled with doubled consonants, it's very ripe with them. And then also the A section does not have very many. So I think we need to make and I think Handel and his librettist would have put that in because there's something more biting about a doubled consonant in Italian where you have to really stop and sing through it. E notte giorno fatta spettro, and then also just watch also that agiterò, even though she's very, very agitated, and what this verb means is that she will continue to be agitated in the future. It's first person simple tense future. But she has to do so with only a single R. So she can be agitated all she wants, but she only gets one R to do it. Can you I'll read to you, and then also all you folks at home following along can read along with us. So ma poi morta.
Ma poi morta.
D'ogni intorno.
D'ogni intorno.
Good. Here's the first flipped R. Il tiranno.
Il tiranno.
E notte giorno.
E notte giorno.
Good. Fatta spettro.
Fatta spettro.
Agiterò.
Agiterò.
Right, excellent. So that final O on that verb is going to be open and stressed because of the accento grave on the end of it. So great, Maren. Fantastic. Okay, the next thing, and then I heard no sort of, if as we go through the A section, maybe a little bit again, if I hear any Italian that's a little bit, needs some tweaking, I'll address it. Okay, ornaments next, the next thing I want to talk about. So there's a lot of great freedom. I love ornamenting da capo baroque arias. I think it's super fun. I love helping people do it. You have some really, really incredible ones, some really creative ones, like including one where you sort of anticipated the high G sharp. I was like, I've never heard that. I'm totally stealing that the next time I work with a Cleopatra. I just thought it was really great. I do want to talk about the very exciting yet illegal high D sharp you added at the end of the B. And I'm going to tell you why it's not, I'm all for like, if someone's doing something wrong, I will always explain to them why. So did I like it? Sure. The note's fabulous. It just doesn't quite belong in this aria. And here's the specific reason, which is just that when we get to high Baroque Italian opera seria, which this is, of course, the general rule is that we do not allow ornamentation outside of a third of anything printed in the aria. So your highest note printed in the aria is an A natural, I believe. Right? It's an A natural, it's in the B section, it's in the color. I can tell you actually what bar. Let me hold on a minute.
Yes, you're right.
It's an A natural that unfortunately is a flash in the pan. It's in bar 55 in the B section. Right. And it goes, no, you know. So it's not really a big, kind of showy one or whatever. But so what that means though, by math, is that you're allowed up to a C sharp as your sort of height limit, right? If you go above a C sharp, you don't get to get on the roller coaster like in an amusement park, right? So no above a C sharp. And then also thinking about, of course, the harmonic language in the cadential area at the end of the B section, we cadence into a G sharp minor chord. So really, we're not going to be picking C sharps. We're going to be picking G sharps and Bs and D sharps, if that makes sense. So you can show off a completely fabulous B natural as much as you'd like. I just think the D sharp, while stunning, it's objectionable. And you could totally sing this role like it sounds like one day professionally. So I would just keep that in mind about that rule. I had no objections to any of the ornaments you did in A section. They all stayed within the limits. You went up to an A natural at the end. Well, of course, that's a printed note, so that's really fantastic. An aria that I want you to take a look at for fun at some point. It doesn't solve the challenge of how long this aria is. Like it seems like I'm gonna make a suggest, and I think this is a great piece for you. I want you to look at Se Pietà, which is my favorite of her. So Cleopatra, for those of you who are not familiar with this show, sings 8 arias in this opera, all of which are equally stunning in their own kind of way. Some of them are done a lot, and some of them are almost never done unless you do the whole show. This Se Pietà is my favorite aria of the 8, and it's beautiful, and it goes slightly higher. So this is why I'm saying, like, if you want to take that D sharp out for a test ride, I mean, it's not a test ride. I mean, you really own that note. It's fantastic. This aria will allow you to do it.
Thank you for sharing. I didn't know about that rule, so thank you.
It's fantastic. It's in the middle of the second act, is when, because the pianto happens quite late in the show. Actually, it happens in Act 3. So I should stop chatting. It was lovely to hear you and work with you, and also your accompanist is very wonderful. Your collaborator is, yes, I know. I wanted to make. I had the track ready to go. I coached this whole opera last summer, so I didn't know if you would need a track for today, and I found out you have a live person playing, so it's wonderful.
I'm very
Okay, so any of my colleagues would like to dive in.
I would love for Marin and I get to work together, so I'd love for one of my other colleagues to give her some feedback.
I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed it, Marin. It was really lovely. It's quite stunning. So keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's gorgeous. I love that you can also at the same time be fiery and floaty. That's not an easy thing to do. One thing I would love to hear is just the very end. Thinking about the quiet ring. So that is such a talent. And when we do those floaty things, it's easy to get caught in maybe a little bit of extra lightness or breathiness in the sound. And then when you want to do your ornament at the end and maybe even a little crescendo or something as you're sustaining the last note and going to the cadence, if we're in that slightly breathy mode, then it doesn't happen, right?
Right.
So can you just sing, I don't have the score in front of me, but just the very last line that you sing. Yes. That was gorgeous. Yeah.
More supported, so.
Perfect. Beautiful.
I love that, Marin. Can I add something to that? Right there, just right where you are. The other day we were working on starting the modification just a little bit earlier, just a tiny bit, because I noticed that you really opened a lot on the high note. Can you do it a little more gradually as you're approaching the high note? Does that make sense? So that whole like driving the car thing, we don't go from 0 to 60. We have to, well, not, I mean, I do, but because Dr. Ditlow knows this because she knows I drive fast, but I want you to go a little slower as you're approaching that modification. We do that one more time, exactly what Professor Swallen just had you do, just gradually open a little bit in the shape of the vowel. I just, that little ad for me, it also just, when I'm thinking about you're going to sing 8 arias, I want to make sure that the technique feels and looks so good and so easy that you're able to get to that quiet ring. I really love that, Professor Swallen. That's a great way of saying that. But that you get there gradually so that then the jaw doesn't get so tired when you're singing so much in this role. So thinking about the longevity and the arc of the whole role. So beautiful, Marin. You are so musical and just such a beautiful voice. And I'm getting my little love note that it's time to move on. We have 2 other singers who want to sing. Thank you, Marin. Brava. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marin. Congratulations. Very good, very good. Okay, so we have 2 other volunteers after this. So we have Ava and Nick. Ava, we'll ask you to go first.
Hello, let me just make sure everything is okay with my camera. So hello, my name is Ava Chenok. I am going into my senior year at Occidental College, which I know Professor Flora has worked with us before, and she's been wonderful and great, and I've appreciated all of her help in the Glee Club. And today I will be singing for you Elle était descendue au bas de la prairie by Lily Boulanger, sister of Nadia Boulanger, and this is just basically about a girl kind of wildly in a fountain looking beautiful and just like observing how gorgeous the scene is. So just gotta turn my accompaniment on. Il était descendu au bord de la prairie, et comme elle a prié, était tout effleuré des plantes dans la tige m'a poussé derrière. Ces plantes inondées, j'ai collier. Bientôt, c'est envoyé, elle gagna les hauts de cette prairie qui était toute effleurée. Et c'est brouillé avec la grosse tige jaune. Et quand je ne fis le trop
Beautiful. Ava, so good to see you. What a wonderful and serendipitous happenstance that we're meeting like this. This is so great.
I'll tell Desiree.
Yeah, I just wrote to her. Hey, did you know this is one of my most favorite French pieces? I love this piece. I love this whole set so much, and it's just wonderful for you. So brava to you and your teacher. Great work. Really, really nice. I love it. Just to add to the wonderful work that you're doing, I went ahead and just pulled it up here. I want to go back to the beginning. When you think of French Melody, and especially of the Boulanger sisters, what do you think of? Can you give me like a few adjectives that would conjure up the feeling?
enigmatic, definitely.
Oh, yes.
I feel that with them, and like definitely very, in a way, spiritual.
Yes.
Like that's how I kind of feel with them. They're kind of like melancholic, but at the same time like working within the universe. It's very weird. It's like very interesting.
It is. And Lily was so sick, and her sister Nadia championed her music because she passed away so early. And it also has this ethereal quality to it, right? And so I just want your body to feel that way. Just can you feel grounded? Feel the balls of your feet. I don't know what kind of shoes you're wearing.
I'm
This
careful.
This is what I love about Zoom. Yeah, you can sing barefoot. Perfect. So feel the balls of your feet and your heels, and then just lighten up your knees a little bit. Just soften them. Feel the wideness in your hips. Feel an openness in your rib cage. Maybe just take your hand and just go like this, just across your chest a couple times. And I just want you to think of that as you go. So your body just feels really released. There's your B. Ready, and. Beautiful. That was beautiful. I don't know if you could feel it, but I felt like it even just looked more ethereal, more enigmatic to me. That was great. A couple little French things, and I say this to all of my students. I feel like no one gets away with this one, but all those little words that end in E, so like D-E-M-E-N-E, it's Can you say de?
Duh.
Right, and they all line up there. So you just keep your lips there and go de ce que le me ne veut. Can you do that for me?
De ce que le veut ne me.
That's right. When we're back in school and we're all in person, I will sometimes stop my students if I run into them in the hallway and go, do it. And they'll go, de ce que le me ne veut. Because the more you do it on a daily basis, the more you'll get it. And so make sure that that rhymes with de la prière. Can you say that for me?
La prière.
Brava. That's exactly right. Okay, that was great. I'm going to hand it over to my colleagues. Beautiful work.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Ava.
Hi.
We're so glad you're here today. That was just gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
You have the perfect voice for these, and you'll go far with them. Are you looking at more of the pieces in this set?
I just did this piece for my junior recital in a set of 3 pieces by like free French romantic pieces by female composers. So I did Sombrero by Cécile Chaminade, and I did Hailuli by Pauline Viardot.
Oh, you are a woman after my own heart, I'll tell you. Okay, so lovely. Now, one of the things about Lily Boulanger is that she loves to float from low to high to low to high. So a little bit like what we were talking about with Marin, we have places where we need to accept top. And really what we do in the middle and approaching the top is going to be really important. So I would say to think about where you're going when you have those high notes early on. So how you're slipping through the passaggio. Again, we don't want to think. I discourage my students from really thinking the word light, because that tends to we get floppy, and we don't ever want to do that. But we do want to manage the passaggio well, and just think about where those top notes are as we're approaching them. So even on the first page, we're skipping up était toute fleurie de plainte. We have to get up to the G there. So can you, I don't know if you can, well, let's just sing from the beginning.
Okay.
And so the word is plante, so I tend to modify that. But let's start at the beginning, and I want to see how, when you are going from A to B to C natural to D to E, and then that C natural to the G, how you're going to manage that. And we're not going to think light, but we're just going to know that that G is up there and those notes that precede it are going to serve it well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Good. I hate to stop you, but that was beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and it feels like this, you know, it doesn't feel like we're going this way and that way because we're thinking ahead. And so we have several places, not only in this piece, but all throughout the cycle that have that same kind of setup. So you'll just watch for those.
Absolutely. I would love to sing this song cycle in the future. I saw somebody ask what the name was. Claire dans le ciel. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Le clairet dans le ciel. Beautiful. Great work, Ava. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much. It's been such a thrill. I hope to work with any and all of you in the future.
Hey, come visit us in New Mexico, in beautiful New Mexico.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ava. Congratulations. And next up, we have Nick Hausman. Before Nick comes, I want to encourage everyone, if you have any questions along the way, please post it in the chat. We should be having 5 minutes of Q&A, a session of Q&A, okay? So if you have any questions, just post it in the chat. Right now, let's invite Nick to the stage.
Hi, I'm a rising junior at the Crane School of Music in SUNY Potsdam in upstate New York. I'm currently a voice and violin performance major, and today I'll be singing Das erste Veilchen from Mendelssohn's Sixth Lieder. This is the second song in the cycle, so the link has the whole cycle, but this is the second song in the cycle, in case you are looking for it. Als ich das erste Veilchen erblickt, wie war ich von Farben und Duft entzückt. Die Boten des Lenzes trägt ich voll Lust an meiner schwellende, raffende Brust. Die Boten des Lenzes trägt ich voll Lust an meiner schwellende, raffende Brust. Der Lenz ist vorüber, das Veilchen ist tot. Das Veilchen ist tot, rings den Firnblumen blau und rot. Ich stehe inmitten und sehe sie kaum. Ich stehe inmitten und sehe sie kaum. Das Veilchen mir scheint wie im Frühlingstraum.
Dr. Ditlow, you want to take the lead here?
Sure. Nick, beautiful job. Where did you, sorry. My Zoom all of a sudden moved you around. So I was looking at you, and I know I should look at the camera, but I knew. Yeah, so beautiful job. It's so nice to hear Mendelssohn Lieder. We don't hear, he was a fantastic Lieder composer, and we just don't hear enough of his, not that I'm not meaning to put down Schubert or Schumann or something like that, but Mendelssohn, both he and Fani deserve more attention on programs. I think it's really wonderful. So good for you and for your teacher for working on that together, and for assigning it. Good. Let's talk about the incredibly fun topic of diphthongs and vowels in German for like three seconds. Okay. So if you had to tell me possibly what's the difference between a diphthong in English versus German, what's the main difference generally? Do you know?
I don't.
Okay. So so the main difference, in my opinion, and this is not my opinion, this is what a lot of German speakers and German writers write, is that the second vowel in a German diphthong is often brighter than its American or English equivalent, right? Generally speaking. So what I'd love for you to do, can you go back to the opening of your piece and read us, just read the text, and I'm going to listen with eagle ears and just see if there are any diphthongs that are coming out more American or English than German, if that makes sense. All right, so whenever you're ready.
Als ich das erste Pfeilchen erblickt, wie war ich von Farben und Duft entzückt. Die Boten des Lenzers drückt ich Verlust an meine schwellende, hoffende Brust. Die Boten des Lenzers drückt ich Verlust an meine schwellende, hoffende Brust.
Okay, great. Not a lot of diphthongs in the opening line, but really beautiful declamation. In fact, the speaking was I find often with singers, do you speak German?
I don't.
Okay, your spoken German is quite good. I find often when I ask people to speak, they're like, what do you mean these are words that I have to speak? I don't want to. They're singers for a reason. They'd rather sing them, right? Your singing in this case, I think, was you had a more clear idea about the vowel. You had a clear idea about the vowel in the speech than in the singing, which is excellent. Let's tweak one vowel together, which is the word on Bote, B-O-T-E, the word for message, right? I don't have the text in front of me, but that's what you said, correct?
Boten, I think it is.
Boten.
Yeah.
Boten, messages. Right. Yeah. Make sure that the first vowel in that word is really closed. The O in German is a super ninja closed vowel. It is way more closed than in American English, right? So that's another thing that we want to think about. It's super easy, even with I use IPA to teach and to coach and all of these things, and I know a lot of us do when we use it. I think just something we need to all think about is IPA differences between the languages, where we would, if it's a closed O in American English, like in the word pillow, which of course has a diphthong after it, we would never say that vowel as closed as we would say the word Boten in German, if that makes sense. So good. Okay, would you mind singing that line again, really honing in on that vowel, the Boten? And don't worry about the track, just sing it.
Die Boten des Lenzers.
Yeah.
Is that what?
I can see also Zoom is good for some things. It's not, the mouth shape is not quite closed enough. That's it. That's great. Good. Excellent. Does our class, I don't want to take up all the time. Do one of my colleagues want to jump in at this point and say something?
I'd be happy to jump in for 1 second. I know we probably are at the end of our time, but beautiful singing, Nick. So lovely. And of course, you have so many wonderful professors up there at Potsdam. So congratulations. What a great place to be. I just wanted to know if we could do this one line. I believe it's at the top of the second page. Der Lenz ist vorüber, das Weilchen ist tot. And so I wanted to address the long tone. So we have this, you have the music in front of you probably do. On the word tot, what are you, if anything, what are you thinking technique wise as the tone is going all the way through?
I have to try not to change my mouth position. I tend to, on held notes, change the inside of my mouth, which I know I shouldn't, but.
Okay, cool. So I just want to add to that. I wonder if you could start more at like a mezzo piano and think of that beautiful O, that closed O that Dr. Ditlow was just talking about. And can you feel as though that O, that same beautiful closed O, has a little bit of a crescendo in it, and you think of the O on the subdivision. So in this case, it would be to O O O O O O O O, I believe. Where am I? Yeah, tot, right? So der Lenz ist vorüber. Can you start there? And when we get there, think of that beautiful closed O, and it's got a nice ease to it. Feel the openness in your body and that little crescendo. Here we go.
Lenz ist vorüber, das Weilchen ist tot.
Yeah, I like that. It's just a little bit more even there. And I would love for you to think about a little more flexibility in the core of your body. And, maybe you're probably already practicing this with your professor, but having that feeling of flexibility in the muscles so that they don't feel squeezed as the note is elongating. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Nick. Anybody else want to jump in?
Beautiful job, Nick. Keep up the good work. And bravo to you for being a multi-instrumentalist.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've had a few students come here to study voice that had previously been instrumentalists, and it served them well. Personally, I was a trumpet player throughout college, played in orchestra as well as singing, played in band and marching band, and then unfortunately I sold my trumpet a few years ago, so I could have time to practice singing. But good for you for doing both. Like I said, it's gonna just make you so versatile and make you such a great performer, musician, educator, whatever your path leads you to.
Thank you.
I wanted to address Claire's wonderful question here in the chat, for if that's all right. She said, I'm a vocal student going to college this year. Do you have any advice or tips for me and other students who will be pursuing music in college? And so, Claire, I just wanted to say, I feel like there are so many tips, but are you going to be starting your undergrad? Is that right? Okay, well, we'll assume it's undergrad. So here's what I would say. I would say pay really close attention and work really hard in Theory 1, sight reading, dictation, and Piano 1. That typically that's taught as like a block, and this is really across the board at the NASM universities. And I would say just be really diligent. Like, don't skip over anything. You might feel like, oh, I already know this. Go ahead and just review it, because it's always great. The better that you know the fundamentals, I think the better you're going to do later on. So that's my one tip. Colleagues, what do you have to say?
I have one for all college students, regardless of major. Buy a paper calendar and keep your paper calendar updated every day. Make sure you keep it with you, stick to it so that you don't miss things, you don't miss assignments, you don't miss lessons or makeup lessons or rehearsals or dress rehearsals. Buy a calendar and start using it. I tried the digital calendar for years, and it was just like, it was convenient, but I made too many mistakes. Now I have a paper calendar, and then I update my digital calendar with my paper calendar. So it helps keep you organized. That is key.
I have a suggestion as a student, so from a mistake that I made, as an incoming music major. I used to think, I was under the impression that the more time that I spent in the practice room, the better I was going to be. But what I was doing was I was wasting too much time not doing accurate work. I was doing too much time learning bad habits or getting tired and letting things slip. So this past semester, and I ended up at the end of the semesters exhausted, tired. When it came time for juries, I was just, all I could do to get through it. What I've learned is to do smaller practice times. Instead of being in a practice room for 3 hours, I now take 30-minute sections a day of quality practice time every day, Monday through Sunday. And I don't try to cram 3 hours in and only get 30 minutes of really good vocal study and 2.5 hours of just tearing my voice to shreds. It was a hard lesson to learn, but I learned it the hard way.
That's a great point, Tim. And I would say just generally, this is a good time in your life to start practicing excellent self-care. You'll be pressured, you will be under the gun a lot, you will have a lot of things to do in college. So getting in the habit of learning good sleep hygiene, good vocal hygiene, just good overall health is going to set you up for success in life.
That's so great, Professor Swallen. I was just in a Tabata class this morning, and we were doing these like jumps over the step. And I had forgotten that in college, I took an exercise class every semester. So I'd take a step class, or those probably don't exist anymore, swim class, yoga. So I just think that I don't know why I did it, but I'm glad I did, because it sets you up for good health your whole life.
All right, well, thank you all for joining us. And as Professor Corbin Swallen mentioned, we do have an info session on Saturday. We'd love to see you there. We'll have a PowerPoint. We'll talk about the scholarships available at University of New Mexico. We'll talk about the ensembles and performing opportunities that we have available at University of New Mexico, including UNM Opera Theater. So we really hope to talk with you further. If you ever have any questions, just email one of us, Dr. Swallen and Dr. Flora put the email addresses in the chat box. Reach out. We're always happy to hear from other singers and prospective students.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. All the singers, congratulations. Beautiful singing. I really enjoyed it. And thank you to all the presenters. It was very enlightening. Thank you for the information. I learned a bit myself. I posted the email addresses for anyone who would like to ask questions about the program or anything after this. I reposted it, so you can go ahead and copy and paste. All right, so this was good. Do we have any other final thoughts? Anyone?
I would like to thank everybody for their time. I know it's a busy time. Summer is kind of busy for me as a student. I'm not taking classes, but I'm taking voice lessons. But thank you for your time today, everybody. It was wonderful, and thank you to CS Music for this wonderful opportunity for us to be able to sing for other people, because a lot of times we get so used to hearing what our voice teacher says that to hear a different perspective is always such a great learning tool for me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tim. And thank you, everyone, for coming out. Please do enjoy the rest of the convention. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.